What if the most advanced civilization of deep antiquity didn't vanish into myth, but slipped beneath the Atlantic in a geological instant? Atlantis remains one of the most persistent and unsettling enigmas at the boundary between archaeology, geology, and human memory. First described by Plato in Timaeus and Critias, the civilization was said to have flourished around 9,600 BCE, a time when the world itself was undergoing dramatic environmental upheaval. Plato spoke not of scattered villages, but of a highly organized maritime power, commanding monumental architecture, complex governance, and technical knowledge far beyond its supposed age. From an archaeological perspective, Atlantis is disturbing not because it sounds impossible, but because it sounds uncomfortably plausible. Plato didn't write Atlantis as entertainment. He framed it as inherited knowledge. Plato insisted that the story came from Egyptian priesthoods, whose records stretched back thousands of years, preserved through ritual, inscription, and oral transmission. Archaeology increasingly recognizes that long-term cultural memory can outlast physical structures, especially in societies shaped by catastrophic loss. Floods, earthquakes, and rapid environmental change are often remembered not as data, but as moral narratives. Atlantis may therefore represent a refracted historical memory, filtered through philosophy rather than fiction. To look for Atlantis, we must erase today's coastlines from our mental maps. At the end of the last ice age, global sea levels were up to 120 meters lower than today. Vast coastal plains now lie submerged beneath the Atlantic, including continental shelves west of Europe and Africa. These landscapes were once habitable, resource-rich, and strategically located for maritime societies. From an archaeological standpoint, the Atlantic Ocean conceals far more prehistory than it reveals, simply because we have only recently developed the tools to look beneath it. The ocean doesn't destroy civilizations, it seals them. Rapid post-glacial sea level rise occurred in violent pulses, not gradual increments. Around 9,600 BCE, meltwater surges triggered sudden flooding events capable of drowning entire regions within a few generations. Marine sediments can preserve structures, landscapes, and even human activity beneath layers of silt and sand. The absence of visible ruins is not evidence of absence, it is evidence of burial. Atlantis unsettles archaeology because it challenges the idea of linear progress. For decades, archaeology promoted a model in which civilization steadily advanced from simplicity to complexity. Yet growing evidence shows that human history is cyclical. Innovation followed by collapse, sophistication followed by silence. Atlantis fits this emerging pattern disturbingly well. A peak of organization erased so completely that only memory survived. According to Plato, Atlantis was defined by planning, not chaos. Descriptions of concentric canals, engineered harbors, and administrative districts suggest mastery of water management and urban design. These are not technologies dependent on iron or writing, but on social coordination, shared ideology, and generational planning. Archaeological parallels exist at sites such as Göbekli Tepe, which forced scholars to reconsider what prehistoric societies were capable of achieving. Myth is not archaeology's opposite. It is often its first clue. Flood myths recur across cultures worldwide, often dating to the same post-glacial period. These narratives may encode lived experiences of rising seas and sudden catastrophe, preserved through symbolic language. Atlantis, viewed archaeologically, may be a cultural fossil, its details distorted, but its core memory intact. The lack of Atlantean ruins tells us more about our limits than theirs. Only a fraction of the Atlantic seabed has been mapped at archaeological resolution. Deep-sea exploration remains costly, technically complex, and logistically challenging. Archaeology has repeatedly shown that discoveries emerge not where we expect them, but where we finally decide to look. Atlantis exposes archaeology's long-standing bias towards dry land. Traditional archaeological methods evolved around terrestrial excavation. Submerged landscapes demand interdisciplinary collaboration, combining archaeology, oceanography, climate science, and geophysics. Atlantis has helped legitimize submerged prehistory as a serious field of inquiry rather than speculative fringe. If Atlantis vanished in a single night, the cause wasn't divine, it was geological. Earth science offers realistic mechanisms: mega tsunamis from submarine landslides, volcanic island collapse, seismic instability along tectonic margins, or cascading climate feedbacks. These processes are not rare in geological history. They are well documented and devastatingly efficient. What makes Atlantis unsettling is how modern the story feels. A confident society reliant on environmental stability, undone by abrupt climate change. This narrative resonates strongly in the present. Archaeology does not pursue Atlantis to glorify the past, but to understand the vulnerability of complex societies. Collapse does not mean extinction, it means dispersal. If Atlantis existed, its survivors would have migrated along emerging coastlines, carrying fragments of knowledge, symbolism, and social structure. Some researchers speculate that echoes of this lost civilization may persist in early Neolithic cultures around the Atlantic Rim. While contested, the idea aligns with known patterns of post-catastrophe migration. Atlantis challenges what we mean when we say primitive. Early societies are often underestimated because they lacked durable materials like metal or writing. Yet complexity can exist without these markers. Organization, environmental knowledge, and monumental ambition leave different archaeological signatures, some of which may now lie underwater. The debate over Atlantis is not about belief, it's about method. Responsible archaeology neither accepts Atlantis as fact nor dismisses it without investigation. Instead, it asks what conditions would make such a civilization possible, what evidence might survive, and where it should be sought. In this sense, Atlantis functions as a hypothesis that tests the boundaries of archaeological thinking. Every generation redraws Atlantis in its own image. From Renaissance maps to modern sonar surveys, Atlantis reflects contemporary tools and anxieties. Today, with climate science and marine technology advancing rapidly, the question has shifted from fantasy to feasibility. Atlantis may never be conclusively found, and that may not matter. The search itself has driven innovation in seabed mapping, paleoclimate reconstruction, and interdisciplinary research. It has expanded archaeology's temporal and spatial horizons, forcing scholars to confront what lies beyond traditional excavation. The real danger is assuming the past has already revealed everything.
The library area. Niches in the walls suggest
that
where heavy
transformative
tablets
discoveries
were stored.
often
Now,
begin at the
only
margins of accepted thought. Atlantis occupies that margin, not as certainty, but as provocation. Civilization did not rise once, nor in one place, and it did not rise forever. Whether Atlantis was a single society, a composite memory, or a symbolic warning, it reflects a deeper archaeological truth. human progress is fragile, and the archaeological record is shaped as much by loss as by survival. The Atlantic is not empty, it is patient. Beneath its waves may lie landscapes once shaped by human hands, preserved in darkness, awaiting future inquiry. As technology advances, these submerged worlds may yet speak. Atlantis endures because it is not just about the past, it's about the future. In an era of accelerating climate change and rising seas, Atlantis serves as both mystery and mirror. Archaeology does not seek Atlantis to reclaim a golden age, but to understand how easily one can be lost. Human history does not end at the shoreline. It continues beneath the